listen closely. The world doesn't need another update about your plans. Your future doesn't grow from announcements. It grows from silence, discipline, and relentless action. In 2026, stop explaining yourself. Stop narrating your struggles. Stop seeking validation for dreams that are still fragile. Because every time you talk too much about what you're going to do, you leak energy. You trade focus for applause. You replace execution with opinions. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power under control. When you stop telling people what's happening in your life, something shifts. You stop living for reactions. You stop adjusting your path to fit other people's comfort. You start moving with intention instead of noise. The strongest moves are made quietly. The sharpest growth happens when no one is watching. Seeds don't announce themselves before they break the ground. In 2026, protect your vision. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Some people will doubt you. Some will drain you. Some will celebrate your failure more than your success. So work in silence. Let discipline replace motivation. Let consistency replace excuses. Let results do the talking. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to explain delays. You don't need permission to become more. What's meant for you will recognize you by your actions, not your words. Wake up earlier. Train harder. Study deeper. Build patiently. Execute relentlessly. And when they finally notice the change, when they ask, "When did this happen?" you won't need to answer. Silence builds strength because it forces you to rely on action instead of approval. When you stop telling people what you're about to do, you reclaim your energy. Words feel productive, but most of the time they are a substitute for progress. Every time you explain your goals, your brain receives a small reward as if the work is already done. Silence removes that illusion and leaves only one option: execution. When you move quietly, your focus sharpens. You are no longer distracted by reactions, opinions, or doubts. There is no pressure to perform for an audience, no need to prove anything before results exist. This allows you to work at your own pace, to make mistakes without embarrassment, to adjust your strategy without outside noise influencing your decisions. Silence creates a private space where growth can happen without interference. Silence also protects your vision. Not everyone who listens wants you to succeed. Some people project their fears onto your dreams. Some subtly discourage you because your ambition exposes their comfort. When you share too early, you give others the power to shape your thinking. Moving in silence keeps your goals untouched, pure, and driven by your own standards instead of external expectations. Strength is built in isolation long before it is displayed in public. The strongest foundations are laid when no one is watching. Athletes train before championships, builders reinforce structures before anyone sees the design, and leaders develop discipline long before they lead others. Silence allows you to focus on the process rather than the performance. It removes the temptation to seek recognition before mastery. Working quietly also builds mental toughness. When no one knows what you're doing, there is no applause to rely on. You learn to show up without praise. You learn to push through boredom, fatigue, and doubt on your own. This creates internal strength, the kind that doesn't collapse when support disappears. Silence trains you to depend on commitment rather than encouragement. Silence reduces pressure and increases patience. When people know your plans, they expect timelines, updates, and results. This external pressure can rush your growth or force you into decisions before you're ready. Keeping your plans private allows you to move strategically, to wait when necessary, and to strike when the moment is right. Patience becomes easier when you're not constantly explaining yourself. In silence, discipline replaces motivation. You stop chasing excitement and start building habits. You wake up earlier because no one is cheering. You stay consistent because no one is checking. This creates a deep sense of self-respect. You begin to trust yourself because you know you can work without being seen. Silence also sharpens awareness. Without the noise of opinions, you become more attentive to your weaknesses, your strengths, and your progress. You notice what needs improvement instead of defending yourself. Growth accelerates when honesty replaces performance. Moving in silence doesn't mean hiding out of fear. It means choosing power over noise. It means understanding that real confidence doesn't announce itself. It's felt in the way you walk, the way you decide, and the way you act when no one is watching. Discipline beats motivation because motivation is emotional and emotions are unreliable. Some days you feel inspired, energetic, and confident. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed. If your progress depends on how you feel, your growth will always be inconsistent. Discipline removes emotion from the equation. It turns progress into a system rather than a mood. Discipline is choosing to act even when nothing inside you wants to move. It is waking up early when comfort begs you to stay asleep. It is training when your body feels heavy and your mind searches for excuses. Motivation asks, "Do I feel like it today?" Discipline says, "This gets done no matter what." That mindset is what creates long-term results. Motivation comes from external sources, videos, speeches, praise, and excitement. Discipline comes from internal standards. When the external fire fades, discipline remains. It doesn't need hype. It doesn't need perfect conditions. It operates quietly, consistently, and relentlessly. Discipline shows up on ordinary days, the days that don't feel special, the days that most people quit. Discipline builds identity. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's uncomfortable, you reinforce trust in yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. That self-trust becomes unbreakable confidence. Not loud confidence, but calm certainty in your ability to endure and execute. Discipline thrives in structure. Routines remove decision fatigue. When your day has a clear rhythm, there is less room for procrastination and hesitation. You don't debate whether to act, you follow the system you've committed to. Over time, effort becomes automatic. What once felt difficult becomes normal, and what was once normal becomes too small for you. Discipline also teaches patience. Results rarely arrive quickly, and motivation fades when progress feels slow. Discipline keeps you moving forward when rewards are invisible. It allows you to plant seeds and water them daily without constantly digging them up to check if they've grown. This patience is what separates temporary effort from lasting achievement. Discipline strengthens resilience. When setbacks happen, motivated people wait to feel inspired again. Disciplined people adjust and continue. They don't take failure personally, they treat it as feedback. They understand that consistency outperforms intensity, and they are willing to stay in the process longer than others are willing to stay uncomfortable. Discipline doesn't mean pushing endlessly without rest. It means committing to what matters and honoring that commitment with balance and awareness. Rest becomes intentional, not an escape. Recovery becomes part of the system, not a reward for quitting. Discipline respects long-term sustainability over short-term bursts. Over time, discipline changes how you experience effort. What once felt like sacrifice begins to feel like alignment. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop waiting for the right moment. Action becomes your default response. The gap between intention and execution disappears, replaced by steady forward movement driven by commitment rather than feeling. Let results speak because words are cheap and performance is undeniable. Anyone can promise, explain, or justify, but only results create authority. When you focus on producing outcomes instead of narratives, you remove the need to defend yourself. Proof doesn't argue. Proof stands on its own. The moment results appear, explanations become irrelevant. Chasing validation weakens execution. When you constantly seek approval, your decisions start bending toward what sounds impressive rather than what actually works. You begin optimizing for praise instead of progress. Letting results speak forces honesty. You can no longer hide behind intention. You are confronted with what you've actually done, not what you hope to do. Results create clarity. They expose what methods work and what efforts are wasted. Talking about progress can blur reality, but results sharpen it. Numbers, skills, outcomes, and consistency don't lie. They reveal where discipline is strong and where it's lacking. This clarity allows you to refine your approach without ego, without defensiveness, without distraction. When results speak, confidence becomes quiet and grounded. You no longer need to announce your worth because you've seen evidence of your capability. This kind of confidence doesn't fluctuate with opinions. It's built on repetition, struggle, and earned competence. You walk differently, decide faster, and tolerate less nonsense because you trust your ability to deliver. Letting results speak also changes how others treat you. People listen differently when you've proven yourself. Opportunities appear without you chasing them. Respect arrives without you demanding it. Influence grows naturally when it's backed by substance. Not because you ask to be noticed, but because your work made ignoring you impossible. Results eliminate excuses. When you commit to outcomes, you stop blaming circumstances, timing, or people. You take full ownership of your actions. This ownership is empowering. It shifts your mindset from victim to builder. Every obstacle becomes a problem to solve rather than a reason to stop. Progress becomes a responsibility, not a hope. Results require patience, and patience builds character. True outcomes take time to compound, skills sharpen slowly. Strength accumulates through repetition. Wealth grows through consistency. When you trust results to speak, you accept the delay without frustration. You stay focused during the quiet phase when nothing seems to be happening externally, but everything is changing internally. Letting results speak protects you from overexposure. You don't reveal unfinished work. You don't invite opinions before clarity exists. You don't dilute momentum by explaining every step. You allow your work to mature before presenting it to the world. This restraint preserves quality and intention. Results also keep you humble. No matter how good you think you are, outcomes will always demand improvement. There is always another level, another standard, another challenge. This humility fuels growth. You stop comparing yourself to others and start competing with your previous performance. When you focus on results, time becomes an ally. Small actions stack, effort compounds, momentum builds quietly. One day, people see a leap they think happened overnight, unaware of the countless unseen hours behind it. The work has already been done. The proof already exists. The results are already speaking. Now here's the call to action, starting today. Stop announcing your next move. Close your mouth. Lock in. Do the work when no one is clapping. Make 2026 the year people see the results, not the explanations.